Now kids everywhere are asking their parents what an orgy is. I was surprised that they put that.
And they said it twice. I was about to say that at first. I was like, I know he just said it. Then he said it again.
Yes,
like, wow,
right.
Really just
a few times he was like orgy. I was like, oh wow. I was like, that shouldn't be in this movie.
As childish as this movie is, why would you say something like that?
Exactly.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Cinecism. I'm Eric.
It's your boy Dante, man, and today we're going to be doing a review on Thor Love and Thunder.
The basic premise of this movie is focusing on Thor kind of trying to find himself. He's kind of like at a place where he don't really have anything to do. Saying like he saved the world and the universe so many times. He kind of just chilling. He's hanging out with the Guardians. He's helping them go on missions and defeat villains. He's visiting with old friends from Asgard as well, kicking it with them. Basically, like, this is a movie about Thor trying to figure out his purpose now that he seemingly accomplished everything.
As you might have guessed, given the title, Love and Thunder, love is a big theme of this movie. You know, they bring back Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, which was cool because she never really quite got an ending. They just kind of disregarded her in Ragnarok and talked her away. They talked her out of the script, which was crazy. She's back. So, of course, it's about romantic love. But I also think they talk a lot about just like Eric mentioned, the love and loss that he's experienced too with some of his family. Like he lost Loki, lost his dad, lost his mom, all his friends essentially. We also have a new villain introduced in this called Gorr The God Destroyer.
The God Butcher.
The God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, who did a phenomenal job. But basically, some tragedy had bestowed upon him early in his life. And he's out for revenge against gods. He felt like the gods didn't protect him. He is out here killing everybody. He got possession of this new weapon. It's like a sword, like the God Destroyer.
Necro sword.
Yeah, and now he's out, and that's giving him the ability to kill gods, but it's also kind of corrupted his mind in a way too. So it's been it's interesting watching him deteriorate and whatnot too.
Let's talk about Thor.
Yeah.
You know, the last Thor movie definitely was a lot more lighthearted than the previous entries. This one was a bit more like just silly. Yeah, like almost a doofus. I like Thor when he's a bit more serious, and it's like the environment around him is what kind of makes the jokes, if that makes sense. Like, you know, like in the first movie where he was kind of like the fish out of water, and like certain situations would bring like the comedic elements. Yeah, it's not the case here. He's kind of like more of like a idiotic type funny character, which is it's just a bit of a far cry from the Thor that we came to know originally in the MCU.
They revamped him in Ragnarok. They did kind of almost a complete 180 with his character, like you mentioned. Before, he was really much more of he wasn't stoic, like he was still funny, but he wasn't a constant joke. And I think because that worked in Ragnarok and that movie was so successful and people enjoyed it, they're kind of sticking with that version of Thor. I could completely understand somebody not liking this version of the character though, especially because it's nowhere near who he was at first. That's really the thing. All of these characters have evolved. Like we watched Captain America evolve, we watched Iron Man evolve, all the OG characters. Evolution is one thing. They changed his character completely, and I think that was just kind of like a conscientious decision to make him a little bit more fun. It always felt like they didn't quite know what direction to go with him, and then they found a beat with Ragnarok, and they kind of gonna stick with it. So, you know, I think this is the Thor we're gonna probably see from now on. Which is, I know.
Not a fan, bro. He's dealing with reuniting with Jane Foster, who they haven't really shared time together in like years, man. Honestly, like we've gotten mention of her, you know, in prior films, but seeing them two together like on screen again and like having this much time together was kind of refreshing. You want to talk about Jane Foster?
Yeah.
Natalie Portman, she was great in this movie, I thought. She brought depth to like the more emotional scenes. Of course, her character was dealing with, she's battling cancer now. The only way that she's even like sustaining right now is because she's been bestowed with the power of Thor, because apparently at some point Thor enchanted Mjolnir further by telling it to protect her or some shit in her time of need. I don't know. She is able to wield the hammer now and it gives her the power of Thor. But I mean, unfortunately, this doesn't helped to stop the progression of her cancer. As a matter of fact, it actually making things worse. So she has a limited time in which she can even use his power. I always thought her and Chris Hemsworth had like good chemistry together.
Agreed.
They're actually believable as a couple. I thought it was very creative the way that she welded the hammer too, even though it was like in pieces. She kind of used that to her advantage in like her fight scenes. I thought that was pretty well done.
That was awesome. Like the way that because they didn't shy from the fact that, of course, the hammer got shattered, whatever, and they made it a part of her fighting. I thought that was just genius. That was awesome because it was more like a scatter shot shotgun type situation, and she could still throw the hammer, which was very, very cool. And I also liked her aesthetic too.
Yeah,
like they did a great.
Her suit looked way better than fucking Thor.
I was not feeling that.
That shit. That was the worst one.
Yeah, that looked very Captain America First Avengers to me. It was like very cartoony. I wasn't.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Prior versions, he had such a regal, like kingly, godly vibe to it. That this shit just like a Halloween.
I was just about to say it looked like some costume.
And I remember seeing the concept art, and I thought, there's no way they're going with that design. I thought it was like some fan-made bullshit.
Yeah.
But to see this as the final version of the suit, very disappointing.
Yeah, it looked
horrible.
It looked crazy. Jane, especially in comparison to seeing Jane's suit, because hers looked more like kind of like OG Thor.
Yeah,
this new shit, I wasn't particularly feeling that at all. I love Natalie Portman. I thought she was so great in this. Yeah, she did a great job, especially with the emotional beat. She's kind of low key the heart of this movie. This one, at least. What's funny is I thought, because the whole point of her seeking out Mjolnir was because she thought that it would help heal her cancer, and I thought that's what was happening until it left her that one time, and then you saw how sick she was. I was like, oh, it's not helping. It's just like temporarily giving her strength. But yeah, that was we'll talk more about that. But yeah, that's
it didn't take quite the direction that I thought it was.
No, it didn't.
It was kind of going to like renew her.
Yeah.
All right, last we got to talk about Gorr.
Yes,
the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale. For me personally, he was probably the standout of the movie. Like he was the most interesting character to me personally. And of course, Christian Bale delivered as he always does. And they really sympathize with his character. The only thing I can say is I wish we could have seen a bit more of him, honestly. But the scenes that he was in it was captivating.
Christian Bale did amazing in this. Every scene he was in, he stole because he was so engaging. Like every time he popped up, and then his character design, from what I saw, is not a far cry from the comic version. I thought it was a really good reimagining of that character. But the way he looked, like it's like the way that they lit him, and you just see his eyes and shit. Like he looked creepy as fuck. And there were scenes in here, especially when he was talking to them kids, where I was like, all right, this is like, he just had a very charming yet sinister presence, which was it's like you couldn't take your eyes off him. And then couple that with his aesthetic, he was, I agree with you, I think he was the most interesting character in the movie. He was certainly the person I wanted to see the most. As far as Marvel villains go, especially in this phase 4 new wave Marvel movies go, like it's probably no contest. This is my favorite, like thus far. I'd also say that the guy in Shang-Chi was pretty interesting, but Marvel's been getting better with that over time. Since that Thanos era, I think a lot of the villains, Thanos, Killmonger, have been kind of having more meat and potatoes, and this is no different. So he did great. I loved it.
I tell you what, though, the standout scenes visually was definitely, like I mentioned before, like the scenes with Gorr. But when they were on that little planet and fighting, I thought that was probably some of the best looking scenes in the movie.
That was my favorite part, of the movie in terms of, was not only was it a good part in terms of the character, because that was probably one of the first times that they had really got to meet and interact with him as far as Thor, and everybody was there. You had Valkyrie, you had Jane. So that was great. But that fight scene, man, was so like reminiscent. First of all, it looked kind of like Sin City. It was all black and white, which was great. Some color thrown in there, which was awesome to accent it. Yeah. But it almost had that like kung fu movie feel where it was like black and white, and there was a lot of atmosphere, and the way they shot it, it definitely looked inspired by some of those old samurai movies or something like that. It was great. I'd take scenes like that over shit flying and blowing up any day, because that's way more, not only is it easier to follow, but it's also more meaningful when you got characters that's really kind of duking it out. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's not a bajumble of mess. It feels more weighted when you have real characters doing real stunts, real shit, because none of that looked CGI to me. as far as like the characters. I mean, some of the jumps might have been, but it looked like a lot of string work and, you know, just cool choreography.
Man, listen, man, I'm gonna tell you one of the most disappointing parts of this movie for me. That whole scene that's set up when they were talking to Zeus, I felt like that was such a missed opportunity. When you have a plot point, like when you introducing like gods, like other gods from other mythology, I thought it could have just been so much cooler, but it was just another like a jokey moment.
I was just about to say they turned everything everybody's a dude
much more
in a joke.
Grand, just impactful moment, man. But Zeus was a clown. I mean, I love Russell Crowe. He's great, but God,
I thought that was wonderful casting, by the way.
Yeah.
To put Russell Crowe, the gladiator, as Zeus, I thought that was kind of genius.
Oh,
but
God,
I agree with you. To have him be
that shit was horrible to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's Zeus. Yeah, I agree. Zeus should probably be on par with Odin. Like how they did Odin, where they had Anthony Hopkins play him. He never was really a joke, which he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're going to make somebody a joke, Loki, Thor, fine. They're younger, I guess. But Odin, Zeus, like Poseidon, any of the major gods should all be like regal, kind of stoic.
Yeah.
And he had the presence, but yeah, that whole scene was just another opportunity to crack a joke. And for Zeus to be talking like a hoe, he was all shook. Like, I mean, just didn't want to do nothing, which is like, all right. I mean, I'm going to be honest. If you're familiar with Greek mythology, them gods ain't worth a shit anyway in a lot of cases. So I guess that's kind of on brand. But the way his delivery was just, he sounded like such a bro. It was like, I hated it.
So we talking about how Thor be like losing all his homeboys, which they continue to make a joke of for some reason.
Yeah,
I just don't understand why. They keep making it seem like they were just such throwaway characters. They were always like close friends of Thor. So the fact that they keep making jokes about them being dead and how casually they throw it, just like that shit just bothers me. Like, it's just why? Why does that have to be a joke? And then like when he went to go meet up with Lady Sif and she's sitting there missing an arm and they still cracking jokes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was that was fucked up. I ain't gonna lie.
This is a woman, like a friend that he's known his whole life, and she's missing an arm now, and they just gotta keep rolling with the joke.
Yeah. This movie took a turn, which I didn't think it was going to do. They actually killed Jane Foster. I thought that was the right decision to make for this movie to have meaning. I thought it was also a pretty smart move. The whole reason that Gorr is doing this is because once he kills all the gods, he gets to this place called, what's it called? Like Infinity or Everywhere or something.
I'm trying to think, it was Eternity.
I
knew it was something close.
That's the name. Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, something Infinity. Yeah, so he gets to Eternity, where he gets one single wish, and he wants to wish for his daughter to be back. Then Jane dies, so Thor gets his daughter, so it's kind of bittersweet. I thought that ending was actually very good and very emotional, actually, because, you know, Jane is a character, even though she haven't been around for a little bit, she's a character we familiar with. And it felt the way when she died. You know, I was like, damn, man, that's kind of crazy. But I like the way that they gave him the daughter. I'm very interested to see what they do from that character now. And her name is Love. And that looked like that's going to probably be cute. I didn't think we was going to get more Thor movies. I thought that because everybody else pretty much got a trilogy and then that was it. But now with Spider-Man, they're giving him more movies. So maybe that's the direction now that they're going to.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't have high hopes. I'm going to tell you that, though. I'm not feeling too great
about a future Thor movie.
I'm not feeling all these fucking kids either.
Yeah, I feel that. Giving Thor a daughter, I think it's only but so much you can do with that. Unless it's like the girl that was in Logan. You know what I'm saying? But this don't seem like that. It seemed very much like it's going to be kind of kiddie.
More jokes.
Absolutely. Now it's just going to be dad
I don't
jokes.
care if the jokes land or not. It's going to keep rapid firing them bitches. Whatever hit, going to hit.
You want to talk about them after credit scenes? I mean,
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Was that Hercules?
Oh, yeah, Hercules. Yeah. That should be interesting. I don't know. I'm sure he's going to be a joke as well. But you know, I say that because I know, I think him and She-Hulk had like some history at some point. Like, so now that she got a show coming, maybe they'll interact or cross paths somehow. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
I'm wondering if Thor's going to get, like, if him and Thor are going to go head to head in a sequel movie, and how far in the future that might be, and if that's something I even care to see.
I'm right there with you, buddy. I feel nothing no more, man. These after credit scenes, they literally, I'm serious, man. They don't hit like they used to. I've mentioned this before, and I ain't gonna beat a dead horse, but just seeing them now, it doesn't excite me the way that they used to when you used to see things.
I agree. So what was the other end credit scene?
Jane and Valhalla.
Oh, that was it? That was the end credits or mid credits?
That was the last one, the end credit scene.
I'm hoping this is like the closure of her story.
That's what I'm hoping.
What else she gonna do up there?
Yeah, right. I think it was just kind of showing that maybe she had a warrior's death, you know, because you're supposed to, if you die in battle, you get to go to Valhalla, and you know, it's kind of like a bitter sweet ending for her, like that she got to go to Greek heaven or something.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's just like
I don't want to ever see her again.
Just be Thor, Love and Thunder. This was one of my least favorite MCU movies of all time, and that's saying a lot. I would much rather watch the first two Thor movies and Ragnarok before I ever see this movie again. They basically turned Thor into an idiot, man. Like, I mean, given all that he's lost, I would think that he would be a bit more of just a more serious character. I thought Christian Bale and Natalie Portman were both great. Christian Bale was probably my favorite, with Natalie Portman as Jane Foster like a close second. Yeah, I think that's about all I can say about this movie. I felt like it was some things that could have just been done a lot better. Having said all that, I think I'm gonna give Thor Love and Thunder it's a 4 for me, bro. I didn't had that great of a time watching this movie.
I thought this movie was okay. It's not horrible to me. I didn't hate it by any means. It's just really gonna boil down to how you feel about the new direction what they taken with Thor. They really regressed his character to like a basic doofus, idiotic type dude, which is that's not gonna sit right with a lot of people. The thing that this movie got going for it is, of course, the villain. I thought he was great. I think probably one of my favorite MCU villains, point blank, period. Like out of all of them, I thought he was not only visually engaging, but also engaging as a character, which is, that's not always easy to do. I thought Thanos had that same aesthetic, like where he was just cool to look at. And then also when he spoke, you just really wanted to hear him. I love Natalie Portman. I think she's amazing. I thought she was great in this. She brought some needed seriousness to this movie. The jokes, even when it was funny, I felt like her character wasn't a joke, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was comedic in the way that it was originally, which I think they need to kind of get back to a little bit more. For me, I'm going to give this probably I think it warrants a 6. And I only say that because of Christian Bale. I think that character was so great, and I thought Jane Foster was so great. And like I said, that scene was just really dope. And I mean, the rest of it is not hateable. It's above average for me, but not by much. So I think a 6 is fair. But just be cautioned that if you had any reservations about Ragnarok, you're not going to like this movie, because this is Ragnarok times like 1,000, in terms of the jokes. So just go in mindful of that. If you a fan of OG Thor, you're not going to like this movie probably, but just, keep in mind that, and that if you can temper your expectations appropriately, you might be okay with this.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in to our review of Thor Love and Thunder. Hope y'all enjoyed that. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any suggested reviews you'd like to see us cover here, please drop a comment below.
Absolutely. And if you guys have seen Thor Love and Thunder, please let us know what you thought. How you feel it ranks in the Thor movies? What did you think about the jokes? How you feel about Thor's new direction as a character? Like it, love it, hate it, indifferent? We'd love to know that as well.
Yep.
We appreciate y'all, man.
Thank y'all.
Peace.